Yeah, some brilliant harassment, completely brilliant harassment from Light in this series so far. The first game he had some great harassment too, and he's already harassing 3 bases at once. So he's definitely trying to play the harass game against Jaedong and keep him from macroing up. Jaedong is one of these big macro Zergs. He gets a lot of economics going. Oh, a Valkyrie! So this is a modified fantasy build, I think. Actually, this is the fantasy build. So Light is going to fend off these Mutalisks with a Valkyrie, and as soon as Jaedong sees that, he's going to try to get some Scourge out to deal with it. He doesn't want too many Valkyries up in the air. Oh, wow, wild, man. This is, okay, 2 Valkyries out here, Marines and Goliath. Man, this is always such a weird build when I see it. I'm never quite used to it, but the Valkyrie is being fended off by Jaedong, but Jaedong is being torn to pieces here by all these forces. Jaedong is finally getting rid of all these forces, so Jaedong's actually in a good position. He took out the entire military from Light. And Light, I mean, those Valkyries cost a lot of money. You're supposed to protect your Valkyries with your Goliaths and keep the Valkyries safe so they can fend off any kind of Mutalisk harassment. Every game I've seen where a Zerg has beaten a mech build has really begun with some good Mutalisk harassment, and this fantasy build is a good counter to that. Jaedong is getting some Hydralisks out right now. He's going to get a bigger ground army going so he can pick off tanks and Goliaths when Light decides to move into Jaedong's natural expansion.
Of course, what's also very good about those Valkyries, they kill Overlords very quickly. And 2 Scourge go land on the Valkyrie. 1 Valkyrie does go down, so gonna have to waste even more money on even more Valkyries. Meanwhile, putting down a lot of factories, so he's definitely gonna have a lot of Goliaths out on the ground. Don't see any tanks for him so far. I'm gonna see what he overall does with it. Still a bunch of Mutalisks out in the air for Jaedong. Critical is that Light actually has weapons 1 upgrades for his forces, which means that those Goliaths do a lot of damage against air. I don't know if he has Chiron boosters up. He should have him up at this point. Don't know if I saw blue streaks on those missiles or not. But overall, going to be very important that the Goliaths maneuvered around, and Jaedong, of course, having lost a lot of Mutalisks and getting a lot of them damaged, is now taking down another expansion, planning on more hatcheries. He shouldn't be able to do too much economic damage, because that's exactly what he needed to do. He did manage to take out a lot of ground forces, but other than that, didn't really manage to accomplish too much. SUVs still mining around, have been now given free range to plant down as many turrets as possible, and now actually Hydra's running around for Jaedong, losing quite a few overlords. Finally, speed has come up, but losing a lot of overlords there, and now gonna go around some mine hunting, clear the middle a little bit so he can possibly push in when he wants to. Jaedong's definitely going to need to get that expansion going with this build from Light. Light should be able to, even on just 2 bases, should be able to get a lot of forces out there. And I don't know what kind of really Jaedong can do. A lot of Goliaths out there. Mind you, they're not too maneuverable. He also has tanks and Valkyries to support, although I don't see any more Valkyries coming up from now. Maybe it just was a temporary thing to prevent the Mutalisk harassment that was coming his way, and that definitely was accomplished. So overall, we're going to see what happens here. Jaedong might be actually thinking of pushing in here.
Yeah, I think Jaedong definitely should push in. Light has fewer troops on the ground now that Jaedong has taken it out, but Jaedong's trying to snipe that tank. He's going to lose every single Mutalisk in the process here, so I'm not sure if that was too cost-effective for him, but now he's moving in his Hydralisks if he can somehow get rid of all these SCVs that are blocking his way and get to these Goliaths, but reinforcement Goliaths are already here, so Jaedong has to back off. I don't think he's going to be able to break into the natural here. He lost a lot of Hydralisks in that attack, too. So Jaedong just, the timing just wasn't quite right there. Too many Goliaths pumping out of the hatcheries there to reinforce. So Jaedong's going to have to come up with another strategy. I think his primary strategy has been pretty good here to go for a mixed group of Mutalisks and Hydralisks, and because he's going to need something to pick off those tanks by the time that Light decides to push out. Because the tanks are such a powerful force in a Terran mech build, because the tanks are completely protected by Goliaths. And, I mean, the Goliaths, they are very good at taking out Zerglings, so Zerglings are pretty useless against this type of build. But it looks like Jaedong is trying to get rid of these pesky vultures that are laying mines all over the place. I think Jaedong should go out with a mine-clearing force right now and try to get rid of as many mines as he can on this map. Because when it comes to a big battle in the middle, Jaedong is going to be in terrible position if he has mines to deal with, as well as Goliaths and tanks, and Valkyries. I'm actually not sure if Light is going to pump any more Valkyries. He's kind of switched away from that, I think. He might have 1 or 2 Valkyries protecting his front. Now he's coming in with a drop right on Jaedong's natural expansion with vultures, just doing more awesome economic harassment here. Been very impressed with his harassment in this game and the last game. And he's taking out as many drones as he can before they get taken down by Hydras. And now rebuilding a second Spire from Jaedong. So Jaedong, wow, he's going to get some heavy upgrades for his Mutalisk so he can snipe those tanks without his Mutalisk dying. It's been a while since I've seen 2 Spires. Go ahead, Rich.
A little bit shocking there. Barracks coming up, that's interesting. Yeah, overall, Jaedong definitely he's going to need that mixed group, and if he's going to use that mixed group, he's going to need upgrades for one of them. He doesn't have Hive yet going, but he should have 3 gases going soon. If he takes even another expansion, he might be thinking of going to Hive Tech and then even upgrading to a Greater Spire. We're going to see if that would be effective. I don't quite remember if... I don't think Guardians range turrets, though. So, Nuke, do you know that?
I think they barely outrange turrets. It's the same with cannons, really.
Alright, so that could be a little strategy if he tries to outrange cannons with that, but there's a Queen's Nest coming out just now, so he's definitely going to try to go Hive Tech. We're going to see whether he goes more air or more ground. With those, of course, 2 Spires up, I think he's going to go heavy air. We're going to see how he just does that. Again, Vultures are flying all over the place, hovering or whatever it is they do, and planting mines everywhere. Jaedong trying to get an expansion in another location, putting down an extractor. That's not going to happen with those Vultures in that position, definitely spotting that. Just now, Overlord's moving into that position, going to try to prevent that from happening. Jaedong is going to need a lot of bases going. Oh, okay, so he's just trying to save that drone by building his tractor. Now going to try to take another expansion. Now, ooh, even more forces moving here. There are burrow drones everywhere, but those with that scan should be able to get taken down. At least some of them. Hydras now just moving in to defend position. Another scan going off, trying to take out as many of these drones as he can. I think only 1 or 2 burrow drones managed to survive that. So, wonderful harassment here by Light. This actually reminds me a little bit of a game I casted where it was Lita against Free, and Lita, despite, spoiler here, losing that game, harassed the entire game with vultures everywhere, and it was just such a pain. And mind you, that was against Protoss, but he still did some beautiful harassment. And he might actually be taking a page from Lita's book, and if you're going to take a page from any Terran's book, why not take a page from Lita's? Meanwhile, 2 upgrades up for Light, while Jaedong has 2 Carapace, 1 ranged weapons for his Hydrosk, and I don't know quite what his aerial forces have at this point. We're going to see how this happens, but Light now moving in very heavily, even trying to take down the temple there with those siege tanks. They take out the surface pretty well. Overlord moving in, gotta instantly get taken down. Don't really know what Jaedong can move in here. He doesn't have enough forces. He might be thinking of a drop here. That might actually be his saving grace, but so many turrets now. Drop is gonna come in here. We're gonna see what kind of damage this manages to do.